I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, February the 11th, brought to you in part by Norbrook. Norbrook's generic pharmaceutical products are equal to name brands in active ingredient, strength, dosage, and method of administration. Founded over 50 years ago, Norbrook is one of the largest family-owned veterinarian pharmaceutical companies in the world. For more information, go to norbrook.com. New Mexico Shooting Gallery. I'm sure you guys have seen this on social media or in the news or the like, but I finally thought I'd mention something about it, give you guys a reprieve from the compromise bill. But New Mexico Cattle Growers Association, oh, by the way, they are one of them that changed horses. Just a little over a year ago, I gave them a Zoom presentation, and they assured me that they were behind mandated negotiated cash trade. But last week when they went to Houston, the few votes that they had went right in with the big boys, and they voted to oppose the mandate. But regardless of that, New Mexico Cattle Growers Association, which for the most part is a very reputable trade association there, they filed a complaint against the United States Forest Service because the Forest Service has decided that they're going to go in there, I guess with helicopters, and shoot about 150 head of cattle that are running in the Gila wilderness there, kind of on the border between southern New Mexico and Arizona. And you know, they filed a complaint saying, hey, we want to stop this. Those cattle belong to somebody. Now there's people that's got leases around there. They've lost those cattle, but we can get somebody get in there and get those cattle. They can't be, you know, like some of the swamp rats that they have down in the Florida Everglades and places like that. They couldn't be that bad. Shoot, we'll get Gilly Flout from over in Paris, Texas, and he'll bring the horses and dogs and get them out of there, I bet. But there's 3 herds of those wild cattle that have been running out, and the Center for Biological Diversity says that those cattle are damaging the area, and that's a preserve there. So they're going to go in there and kill them, and just shoot them down like feral hogs, I guess. But those cattle are bound to have brands on them, the breeding stock anyhow. And I don't know how you can move cattle in a brand state like New Mexico without having a brand inspector there to take a look at them. I think we need to do that. That's where your answer is. Tell them you got to have a brand inspector in there to do it. You can't move cattle in New Mexico. Believe me, I grew up there without having a brand inspector every time you had to ship, and it was always busy in the fall of the year, and we were always cussing the brand inspectors and wondering where they were at. But that is kind of ridiculous that they're going to go ahead and have to shoot those cattle down, and then that's going to make the wildlife in that area get a taste for beef. And so now whenever people are trying to calve out their cows there, you know, those bears and wolves and cats and what all they got in that part of the country are going to remember how good that beef tasted. They don't want fake beef. They want the real stuff. And they're going to go in there and go after those cattle more aggressively than they normally would have. But, you know, it's just hard for me to believe that they couldn't go in there with somebody. They're going to spend $40,000 in 2 days to go in there and shoot all those cattle down. And then they're just going to leave them lay. You know, as many hungry people they are in this country, what those cattle are worth and the fact that they belong to people, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know where your animal welfare groups are. You know, this is something that we could probably agree upon, one of the very few things, but you know, that's been pretty well publicized in the news, and yet they're going to go in there and have a New Mexico shooting gallery on those cattle that are lost down in that Gila wilderness. But let's talk about your board on Thursday. Your board was erratic on, you know, and we talked about how high it was. sharply higher on Wednesday. And then on Thursday it was just erratic. It opened up sharply higher again and then closed down and pretty well down on your feeder cattle futures, which had gained so much ground at midweek. But February live cattle futures, and also want to note that there were 10 deliveries against the February live cattle board, sitting up there in the mid 142 range. Guys that can't get any better than 140, they figured, what the heck, well, we can deliver them for that. So 10 deliveries tendered against your February live cattle contract. But on Thursday it was down 55 cents at 142.35. April down 95 cents at 146.87. You go on your back months and they were very consistently lower, from down 70 to down 87. March feeder cattle down $1.55 at 166.72. April down 82 cents at 171.75. Your back months on your feeder cattle are all down big, from 85 cents to $1.87. So they didn't get everything that they gained on Wednesday, but got quite a bit. But man, your publicly traded markets were just all over the place. Your 30-year fixed mortgage on a home is now a full point higher than it was just before they announced that they were planning on raising rates here lower. And we haven't seen an official prime rate raise by the Fed yet, but once that word gets out and they know it's coming, then it gets to trading around. And the bond markets were kind of crazy on Thursday, but no more of that 2.875. It's more like 3.875 now, guys. Let's talk about your grain markets. Corn down 5 cents on Thursday at 641 3/4. Beans down 20.5, despite the fact that we've had more news that South America is not going to have much of a crop, but just erratic, wild swings on your grains. But beans settled at 1574 1/4. Kansas City hard red winter wheat was down 14 cents at 801. Your fat cattle trade, we did have significant trade on Thursday again, with Iowa 7,000 head confirmed, about 14,000 for the week, so a little bit shy of what they normally do. They could trade a few more here on Friday, but live sales from 140 to 143, and your live sales were mostly steady to $1 higher. Now dress sales saw a big gain, from steady to as much as $3 higher on the top side of your dress trade, as it was pretty ambitious this week. In Iowa on Thursday they sold it from 222 to 225. Nebraska 15,100. That's the biggest day we've seen in Nebraska for a while. Almost 28,000 for the week there. Live sales 140 to 142. Dress sales had a wide range from 220 all the way up to 227. But your weighted average in that 224 to 225 range, and that's a good gain there. Kansas only a couple hundred head, just short of 19,000 for the week. All their live sales have been at 140, and a little bit of dress trade in the northern areas at 224. Texas sold 1,100 head confirmed on Thursday, about 7,000 so far for the week, and all their live sales have been at 140 also, and that's a good steady market. Late last week we weren't able to get that 40. They were selling them at 139, but the bulk of the trade last week was at 140, so mostly steady to spots $1 higher, and it was sure $1 higher in the northern plains on a live basis. But box beef cutout values continue seasonally lower, but we did see your choice select spread widen out a little bit on Thursday afternoon. Choice cuts 274.82 down 97. Selects down 310. That's a big hunk at 268.95, and now your choice select spread's getting close to $6 there. Your slaughter very aggressive on Thursday, 123,000. That's the first time we've seen that this year. And your total so far for the week through Thursday, 488,000. That's 9,000 more than last week, 28,000 more than the same week a year ago, and just a pretty aggressive slaughter there. I wanted to share some of these pictures I got from my good friend Donnie Trammell. He's been a cowboy around the Amarillo area, worked in the sale barns and the feedlots, and he's got a ranch leased over in, or bought, I guess, and then some other ground leased there over in New Mexico, and runs a lot of cattle of his own. He's a progressive marketer. He's like a lot of the guys have seen the opportunity to get into beef processing mostly, but he's going to do other kinds of livestock too. But he's opened up Panhandle meat processing in Amarillo, Texas there. But he shared some of these pictures with me. Had some wild cattle that were just right here, right outside of Amarillo, and they brought them in. 2 big wild steers, and my goodness, the cattle weighed over a ton, and with a dressed carcass of 1,200 pounds or a little bit more than that. Goodness. You look at these facilities he's got there. I mean, they're built heavy duty. Guy was teasing him. He could kill buffaloes there. But I tell you what, Donnie and his family there. He's got his son-in-laws and a lot of his family involved in that. And that's going to be a good family business, and hopefully a good money maker for him for a long time. He does a really good job at whatever he does, and I would highly recommend them. He is now doing private slaughter. He is just waiting on getting his okay to have a retail market there at Panhandle Meat Processing there at the end of Rockwell Road there, and just outside of Amarillo, Texas there. But pretty interesting pictures there. How about this Saturday for you guys that are up in the Midwest? Platte Valley Cattlemen's Association in Humphrey, Nebraska. I'm going to be there and going to give a presentation there for their regular meeting, but it's going to be at the Humphrey Community Center. I talked to them there. They sold well over 500 tickets. Going to be a nice gathering there, and I hope you guys can get there. I think they've got a social hour. Starts about 6 o'clock. 5:30 or 6, and then they're going to have a meal there, and then I'm going to be speaking. I'm not sure what other kinds of things they got going on, but looking forward to going up there in eastern Nebraska. Let's talk about your feeder cattle markets, your real-time index on DV auction, brought to you by Margin Tracks by Midcon, sitting at 162.39 late in the day on Thursday. That was down just 19 cents, but kind of settling right in there. Somewhere halfway between 160 and 165. It hasn't been long ago that we fell below 160 there based on an 800-pound steer, but we've come back strong. And I tell you what, these feeder markets are really good, and especially on the calves. And I think we can look forward to really impressive and handsome feeder cattle and calf markets here going forward for quite some time. But if you're looking to increase your herd and you weren't able to hold back many heifers, Russell Livestock Market in Russell, Iowa is having a big special bred heifer and bred cow sale on Saturday, this Saturday the 12th. And they've got a big dispersal of some purebred Charolais cattle there. They've got some really fancy Angus bred heifers and a lot of dispersal deals on there. You can view and bid that sale on dvauction.com. There, it'll be Saturday afternoon, Russell Livestock Market in Russell, Iowa. Let's talk about your feeder cattle markets, your sale barns on Thursday. How about winter livestock in Pratt, Kansas, about 4,500 head there. You remember last week they didn't even have a sale because of the slick roads and everything, so they kind of caught up here this week compared to 2 weeks ago. And this market trend is from Federal State Market News, and I don't have much trust in those people there in Kansas because they just lack training and are not doing a very good job. But went ahead and went with it. They called the steers steady to $2 higher, heifers $5 to $8 higher. But I did see a stick-out sale on Cattle Market Central out of Pratt Livestock there. 93 head, 618-pound steers bring $197. How about Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas? They had well over 5,000 head. Their receipts were curbed last week. They did have a sale, but very light receipts last week due to that storm, but they caught back up this week. Their federal state market report was not available whenever I put this together, but I went in and pulled Cattle Market Central market report there. Sure looked $5 to $8 higher on everything there compared to the light run that they had a week ago. But you look at this automated market report, your best tested weights on steers, 572 head of your 6-weight steers averaged 657 at 180.55. 469 head of your 7-weight steers averaged 746 pounds with a weighted average price of $166. 834 head of 847 pound on the average 8 to 900 pound steers had a weighted average price of $158.69 on all the 8-weight steers they had there at Salina, Kansas on Thursday. Pretty good deal. Before I talk about your individual quotes, I want to give you your DV auction market of the month. We're here to promote sale barns, and that's what we do, and they definitely do not have to broadcast with us or anything like that. There's no measure to meet to be the market of the month other than to do a really good job of marketing your cattle there. And this month's market of the month is Aberdeen livestock sales in Aberdeen, South Dakota. The newer barn, there's 2 sale barns there, but the newer barn there out on the highway, and they do such a good job. And I've been around the Larsons there a few times and really enjoyed my time spent with them, but they do an awfully good job of selling those cattle. And early in the week, almost every single week, they have some of the biggest stick out sales, and it wouldn't just be one, but they usually land one here on the feeder flash. But congratulations to them as being the market of the month this month. Aberdeen livestock sales, Aberdeen, South Dakota. How about some individual quotes? Billings Livestock Commission in Billings, Montana sold 69 head, 495, or same as 500 pound steers at $224. That's a big stick out sale way up north there. How about Mitchell Livestock in Mitchell, South Dakota? 64 head, 924 pound steers. They're big on those heavy warmed up feeders. A 924 pound load of steers bring $163. But the best quote that I saw anywhere, and I always have to measure it as to where it's located, you know, what kind of sale they have, the area that they're in. You know, in mid-Missouri, they don't have any farmer feeders. They don't have any commercial feedlots. They have a lot of cattle in that area, but very impressive quote to me, and your National Beef Wire top quote for the day come from mid-Missouri stockyards. That's Phillipsburg, or the same as Lebanon, Missouri there, right on I-44. Sold 64 head, 811 pound load of steers at $160.75. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.